Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. We have been discussing some very pressing topics. This one is no different. This topic is about sex crimes. And I want you all to know that young people are introduced to a lot of things, and it usually begins with some form of abuse. Or you don't pick up those habits or problems unless somebody introduced you to that, being like drug paraphernalia, drugs. But when we talk about sex crimes, we talk about a form of victimization that happens to young children and oftentimes young women, young men. And if you've been a victim of a sex crimes are very, very difficult. Depending on what kind of crime occurred. And I'm not there to minimize it. I'm just trying to minimize the impact it has, because it's obviously very devastating. And the reason we're talking about it is because there's just been a recent report of a young woman who was murdered by her rapist because they had released the inmate due to COVID. Now, I don't know the facts of the story yet, so I'm just going to tell you this is on Dinesh D'Souza's page on Facebook. She was obviously raped by him, and the person that murdered her, to me, we're going to be discussing it more as it develops. It's a developing story. She was obviously alive. They had put this man in jail, and then when he was released, he went and slaughtered her. Those were the words of that post. And I'm really having a hard time, because I'm going to tell you, anytime sex crimes paraphernalia involves handcuffs, other paraphernalia, and I'm scared at the world that our young people are growing up in. They have way too much access to even online pornography themselves. Personally, you have to put the parental controls in there. Try to keep your kids safe. Try to stay safe, especially because of the magnitude of a crime like that. It should have everybody upset that cares about issues like this. So I want to go a step further and tell you that my first reaction to that story, as it's developing, is who allowed the COVID-19 prisoners out of jail? And wouldn't they be responsible for their decision to let that individual out of jail? Like, who signed that order? And I go a step further, the state hospitals that allow things to go on. You should have the right to feel safe in your home. You should feel the right to feel protected for, and not afraid to be assaulted in your home, from your purse being, out on the kitchen table and somebody stealing out of your purse. I mean, you have rights. And these violations are just compounding. It's confounding. And in the Bible it says that these times would be perplexing. Because of the level of crime. So when you look at images of Chicago, not just the everyday shootings, murders, and rapes that go on in Chicago alone, but the looting from Antifa. I mean, so getting back to the story about this developing story, it's going to be titled COVID-19 Prisoner Rapes and Murders Victim. So that you know that's generally what we were talking about. We'll be changing the topic here in a moment, because I don't want to end this segment just on that alone, because we don't know the whole story yet. That we do know that she was murdered, though. And I think as this develops, we'll update the story. I want to leave off with this. We don't want to get into heavy topics, you know. We're trying to get back to the Constitution here at the Court of Public Opinion, that's being my blog. And we want to talk about topics that where anything applies to the Constitution, you know. This is what I love about the Constitution. Because everything, it fits. It makes sense, you know. How America's run, when the Constitution is utilized and used appropriately, in every aspect of, from state hospitals to prisons to how you go to work every day, to maintaining a school system. We need to get back to the Constitution, and representatives that are not pro-constitutional, well, that there lies the issue, because it's a political battle. Because there are representatives and there are lawmakers that do that are pro-constitutional, thank you God, and believe in every word of it too. See, I got a survey here from the Trump campaign regarding how exploited America has become. And we're starting to see it. We're starting to see the impact of poverty. We're starting to see the impact of child abuse. And it's coming out in the news, and on a regular basis you're hearing now how many sex crimes were committed in the last 30, 40 years, and it was unavoidable. These actual cases have been going on for over 30, 40 years. So it's long overdue for justice to be served, and it has to be done through the Constitution, you know. You know, that's the one thing about we the people. When we get our hands on our Constitution, we can go and we can see justice served, and it needs to be served. And I hope that we can start here at the Court of Public Opinion. The Court of Public Opinion is a part of the Amateur Radio Network.